the Lord invites his child to come close, intently. The message he is about to share is meant just for them, not for the crowd, not for the rest, but for the one hearing these sacred words right now. They are not there by accident. There are no mistakes in the story he is writing through their life. This moment was appointed long before they knew how to call his name. It was woven into their days before their journey even began. He is there. He is speaking to them, and with all the love of heaven, he says that something truly remarkable has already changed in their life. The unseen realm has been stirred on their behalf. A door has been opened that no person, no plan of the enemy, and no voice of doubt will ever be able to close. It opened because of them, because they kept believing when belief felt impossible, because they remained obedient when obedience cost more than they thought they could give, because they finally chose surrender with courage and trust. His precious child did it. They stepped across the place he had been leading them toward. They released what needed to be released. They trusted him without knowing what was rest ahead. They obeyed when it would have been easier and far less painful to walk away. And that decision, that hidden and costly act of surrender, moved heaven itself. One choice shifted things in their favor for eternity. Faithful souls say amen if they believe. What seemed like a private decision, unnoticed by those around them, became a mighty announcement in heaven. Angels paid close attention. The enemy trembled, and the Lord's heart rejoiced over them with boundless joy, too great for human words. In that, the very moment he spoke over their life, this is the time, this is the hour, this is release. Not later, not someday, now. The word he gives them today carries that same holy declaration. It is being planted deeply into their spirit to take deep root and produce a harvest that will leave them filled with wonder. The Lord has walked beside his child through a long, weary season, a season that tested the deepest parts of their trust in him. He knows the lonely nights. He knows the quiet prayers they lifted toward heaven, wondering if anyone heard. He knows the mornings when they woke, carrying burdens never meant to rest on their own shoulders. He knows the afternoons when exhaustion settled so heavily upon them that they questioned whether anything would ever truly change. They kept waiting when the delay felt utterly unbearable. They endured when endurance demanded everything they had left. They kept holding on to him even when they could no longer feel his hand holding theirs. Yet every one of those moments was planting seed into the soil of their future, seed that is now beginning to grow, seed that time could not destroy, the enemy could not steal, and even silence could not stop them. They have reached the place where hidden obedience becomes visible blessing, where quiet tears become powerful testimony, where waiting gives way to fulfillment, so complete and so far beyond what they dared imagine that they will stand in the middle of it in grateful amazement. Something has shifted in the unseen. Hayaum. It has shifted completely, and it has shifted permanently. He wants his precious children to understand as clearly as heaven itself that he was never distant from them during those years of waiting, not for a single moment. He never ignored their cries. He never overlooked their pain. He saw every tear and gathered each one. He heard every sigh, every unfinished prayer, and every groan too deep for words. And he remembered them all. He watched them enter places where they felt invisible and overlooked, and he whispered to their spirit, I see you, I know you, I have not forgotten you. Even when they doubted that whisper, even when it seemed too small against the noise of loneliness, it remained true. Indeed, it was real. It was his voice. While they waited, he was working behind the scenes of time itself, arranging details with a care and precision that would amaze them if they could see it now. He was positioning people whose paths would meet theirs at exactly the perfect time. He was preparing opportunities designed specifically for who they are. He was breaking chains they never knew existed. He was tearing down barriers that would limit what he planned to do through their life. He closed doors they desperately wanted opened, doors that looked good on the outside, but carried dangers they could not see. His silence was never abandonment. His delay was never rejection. What seemed like absence was actually one of the most active seasons of preparation in their life. They declare trust if they have faith. And now for his beloved child, the timing has met their obedience. Preparation has met surrender. The seed has met the harvest season. What is being released into their life from this moment onward carries the unmistakable mark of heaven. He wants them to understand the true spiritual weight of what they have done. When they chose faith while fear was shouting at them, things shifted in the restart, unseen realm that no human instrument could ever measure. When they chose obedience instead of staying comfortable in old patterns, they weakened the plans formed against their future. When they surrendered control instead of holding tightly to it, they opened their life to his hand in ways that words alone never could. Can they see it now? That moment they thought was insignificant. That choice they believed was small. Letting go of bitterness that had lived inside them for years. Forgiving someone who hurt them when forgiveness felt impossible. Placing a dream into his hands when it felt like the only thing keeping them moving forward. Walking away from what God asked them to leave behind, even when it cost them familiar comfort. That was not small. That was powerful. It was a turning point written into their story long before they understood what was happening. That was the key, unlocking what had been kept safe for them in heaven, preserved and waiting for the moment. Their hands were ready to receive it. His precious child finally reached the destination he was leading them toward. And because they have the release, can no longer be delayed. Heaven is already moving on their behalf. Doors that seemed permanently closed are opening wide through power no human hand could provide. The chains that bound them for years, chains of lack, delay, limitation, and the false words spoken over their place, lives by those who never understood their worth, have fallen away. The atmosphere around their life has changed in a deep and lasting way. They are moving from waiting into receiving, from seasons of weeping to the joy that comes with the morning, from wandering in the wilderness into the promise that has carried their name since before they entered this world. They may not recognize it all right now. The blessings God releases do not always arrive with loud announcements. Often the greatest movements in their lives begin so quietly that they could almost overlook them. But the proof is coming. It will be clear. It will be visible and real, and impossible to dismiss as mere luck or coincidence. They will not need to persuade anyone that the Lord has worked in their lives. Others will see it for themselves. They will stand amazed at what unfolds before them. Even those who doubted them most will know God's hand has been upon the life of one who refused to let go of him. They declare they receive this. If their hearts are ready, God's beloved children can hear what their quiet faith, perseverance has truly required and what it has truly secured. Every time they remained standing when falling seemed easier, every time they kept holding on while every reasonable voice told them to quit, every time they chose faith while doubt sounded louder and more convincing, it was noticed. Not only noticed, but recorded. Angels watched in wonder. The enemy trembled, not because of their strength, because many times their strength was gone, but because they chose to remain. They did not understand what was happening in those moments. They thought they were simply surviving. They thought they were only making it through one more difficult day. But the truth is, they were overcoming. They were walking in a victory that had not yet become visible. They were tearing down spiritual barriers that had stood against their future for years. With every costly determined, the beautiful act of faith they planted, seeds that are now breaking into a harvest season, unlike anything they have ever known. A believer's tears are never wasted, not one. Every tear they shed in secret, every fruit, tear falling in darkness when no one knew their burden. He was there. He gathered each one as something precious. Every tear became a prayer. Every sigh became a cry. Every groan from their spirit became a seed placed in the soil of his storehouse. Now those seeds are beginning to rise. Slowly, the tears that seemed meaningless were watering the ground for miracles that are now approaching them. Yes, the nights they cried alone were nights when heaven drew near. Those were moments when the distance between their heart and God disappeared. The nights when grief soaked their pillow were nights when he grieved beside them and quietly began weaving redemption from their pain. Their tears created a river of faith, and now that river is moving. It carries blessing, restoration, and a joy so deep it will surprise them, because it will arrive in the very places where joy once seemed impossible. And what about those prayers they thought went unanswered? The prayers they repeated again and again, until their voice grew tired and their faith felt weak, and they wondered if those words were reaching anything at all. Every single one reached God. He never turned away. He treasured those prayers and preserved them, safely waiting for the moment when the answer would carry the greatest impact, accomplishing the greatest good and sparking the deepest transformation. They thought the long silence meant he had forgotten them, but it was all part of his plan. He was quietly arranging key people, circumstances, and perfect timing so that when the answer arrived, it would not just come, it would arrive at the perfect moment to fulfill all he intended. His child's moment had finally arrived. The silence was over. The appointed season had arrived. What they had prayed and longed for, what they kept on hoping for, even in their most discouraged moments, he is releasing now. And not just what they requested, but far exceeding that, beyond their prayers, beyond their dreams, beyond what their imagination could stretch to contain. For he is the God who does far beyond anything they can ask or think, and their quiet obedience in secret has deeply touched his heart. Those moments when nobody was watching, and nobody would have blamed them for taking the easier path, yet they obeyed anyway. Those times when obedience cost them something valuable, something meaningful, something they had worked hard to build. They turned from temptation even when it looked attractive. They forgave when bitterness begged them to stay. They chose truth when dishonesty seemed easier. They stayed faithful when leaving it seemed reasonable and even wise. They gave even when it cost them. They served even when it drained them. They kept loving when others rejected them. Each quiet act of obedience became a seed sown in holy ground. Now those seeds are pushing through the earth. What they did in secret, God will reward openly. What they quietly surrendered, he will honor publicly. The obedience they offered in the shadows is ready to shine in the light of his glory. He calls them his beloved child, asking them now to move beyond mere words, directly into faithful action, placing a portion of their provision on the eat desk, a stone altar of this ministry, as a living covenant of trust, letting what they release from their hand be proof that they believe his hand will provide. This is no simple transaction, but a declaration, a holy act, saying, I trust the giver more than the gift. Sowing their seed into the soil of this kingdom work, they will watch as the harvest that was waiting behind the dam of their release comes flooding through as the vaults of heaven respond to surrendered hands, opening theirs to see what he holds for them on the other side, calling them to listen closely. The season of delay has ended. He wants these words to reach deeper than their thoughts, into the place where true certainty lives. The silence is broken. Heaven is already moving on their behalf, in ways they have not yet noticed, and it is moving quickly. Blessings once locked behind unseen doors are now being released. Chains blocking your provision have been shattered. Obstacles are being cleared from your path, not by your own striving, not through efforts to control circumstances, but through His direct and powerful intervention in your story. What was withheld is now being released. What was delayed is finally being accelerated. He is sending answers, provision, healing opportunities, and breakthroughs so close together that even the most doubtful observer will not be able to deny what He is doing in your life. These blessings will not arrive as a slow trickle, His beloved. They will come like a flood. They will surround you. They will overtake you. They will be greater than expected. He is not simply giving you enough to get by. He is releasing overflow, blessings poured out until there is no room left to contain it, and still more continues to come. He is not only restoring what was taken from you, He is increasing and returning it, multiplied far beyond what was lost. He is not merely responding to your prayers. He is going beyond them, surpassing what you thought to ask and showing you a depth of His goodness that you did not yet know to seek. The heavens stand open over your life. Angels are already moving at His command on your behalf. The atmosphere surrounding you has changed, and you will begin to recognize it. Where dryness once remained, rain is arriving. Where nothing seemed able to grow, fruit is appearing. Where silence once lingered, songs will be heard. The blessing He is releasing cannot be denied, cannot be stopped, and will change their life. It has already been set in motion. No plan of the enemy, no voice of doubt, and no delay can stop what He has spoken. For the Lord their God has declared it, and what He declares is established, pushed. His precious child, He wants to speak clearly about what is being released, because He does not want them holding only a general promise. He wants them to recognize it when it comes. He wants them to know what to receive and what to steward well. The first blessing He is releasing is provision. They have experienced lack. They know the fear that comes when needs are approaching, and they cannot see how they will be met. They have learned how to stretch little resources through necessity and determination. They have prayed, Lord, will you provide during the late hours when the numbers failed to work and the options became fewer. His child must listen carefully. The season of scraping by is ending. He is not a God who delights in watching them struggle just to survive. He is the God who provides according to riches that have no end, no limit, and no boundary that human calculation can measure. Provision is coming from places they never expected. Favor will open doors that effort alone could never move. What was closed will open. What was dry will begin to flow. And when it comes, indeed, they will know it was His hand, because it will arrive in ways no human plan could have arranged. But provision is not the only thing He is restoring for His beloved. He is also restoring their health, the pain they have carried, the sickness they have learned to live with, the quiet prayers for healing they have repeated so often they became part of their daily struggle. He has heard everyone. He has heard them all. He has felt what they felt. The heaviness is leaving their body. He is releasing strength into their bones, breath into their lungs, and life into every part of the body He carefully created for them. What human wisdom and medical knowledge could not fully repair, His power will restore. Healing will arise suddenly, and its completeness will surprise them. Not only their body, but their mind will be renewed. Their emotions will find stability. Their soul will be refreshed from deep within. He is bringing wholeness to every part of who they are. Spirit, soul, and body together. A complete restoration. that prepares them for every blessing He is leading them into. And indeed, if they have faith, reconciliation is also drawing near. The precious child, He hears the prayers that they whispered concerning broken relationships, the relationships damaged by pain, misunderstanding, pride, or years of unspoken hurt. He knows the longing they carried for peace within their families, for unity where conflict has settled in, for the restoration of someone they loved and lost and never stopped missing. He is moving now. He is softening hearts that grew hard. He is humbling those who resisted. He is opening conversations that have stayed closed for years. Forgiveness will flow where bitterness once ruled. Words left unsaid for years will finally be spoken. Wounds hidden beneath polite appearances will come into the light to receive true healing. The love restored during this season will not simply return to what once existed. It will become deeper, stronger, and more lasting because it will be rebuilt upon honesty and His grace instead of fragile human effort. They will witness what only His Spirit can accomplish. Hearts of stone becoming hearts that feel again. Relationships that appeared beyond repair being restored with a tenderness and wisdom that clearly bear His mark. And their prayers, the ones they thought disappeared into silence, the ones they prayed so many times that they lost count, the ones they barely dared to speak anymore because hoping had become painful. He is answering them now, not just one or two, but many of them, arriving one after another like waves, reaching the shore before they have time to fully absorb the previous one. Where they prayed for provision, abundance is coming. Where they prayed for direction, clarity is breaking through like sunlight after a long storm. Where they prayed for breakthrough, barriers are falling. Where they prayed for opportunity, doors are opening wide. Even the prayers from years ago that I thought were finished, He never abandoned them. They were waiting for His appointed time, and that time is now. He wants to speak to His children now about what comes next, about what it means to fully enter the season He is releasing over their lives, because receiving is never passive. It asks something of them, not striving, not performance, nor exhausting effort to prove themselves worthy of what arrives. It requires only this: staying near to Him, keeping their focus on Him, not letting the wonder of the blessing pull their eyes away from the one who gave it. Part of the reason for the waiting was to prepare their hearts to receive without becoming controlled by what they receive, to hold blessings with open hands rather than closed fists, to remain grateful instead of entitled, humble instead of proud, generous instead of fearful. The season He is bringing them into is not the final destination. It is the beginning of a new chapter in Micah's, the makers, the story still unfolding before them, a story far greater and more beautiful than they have yet imagined. And so He tells them now what He has been telling them from the very beginning. From the first moment He started drawing their hearts toward Him, from the first quiet whisper placed within their spirits, before they even understood whose voice was calling them. Trust Him. Listen closely, not with a passive faith that merely waits and watches, but with a living, active, expectant hope that keeps its hands open, its eyes alert, and its heart ready to receive what He is pouring out. Trust Him when the blessing comes in a way they did not expect. Trust Him when the road ahead looks different from the one they imagined. Trust Him when the timing feels slower than they hoped, or when events begin moving faster than they thought possible. He knows exactly what He is doing. He has always known. Every seeming contradiction in their story has rested safely in the hands of a God who sees both the beginning and the end at the same time, and who has never once lost sight of their purpose. His precious child must not overlook the importance of what they protect during this season. He has spoken about blessings that are coming, and they are real. They are already on the way. But he must also speak to them about wisdom. There are things growing in their lives right now that need protection while they are still young. Every new and tender thing requires kare. Not every sacred gift should be announced before its time. Not every miracle needs an audience. While it is still unfolding, there is wisdom in quietness. There is wisdom in keeping certain holy things between their spirit and his until they become strong, enough to stand in the open without being shaken by the opinions of others. When Joseph revealed his dream too early, it brought hardship. When David was anointed, many quiet years passed before he ever sat on the throne. The pattern of his kingdom is this: he works deeply and quietly within before the results become visible outside. This is his true wisdom. It is not fear. It is not weak faith. It is the discernment of one who understands what is ready to be spoken and what is still being formed. They protect what he develops inside them. Patiently, they guard the small beginnings of breakthrough and miracles as they grow into something so strong that cannot be uprooted and is clearly seen by everyone. He loves them, not with a love dependent on their performance, not with a love that weakens when they struggle and doubt, or feel less than they think they should. B. He loves them with the fullness of heaven itself, with a love that remains absolutely steady through every single season of wandering, with a commitment to their healing and flourishing that nothing in this age or the next can ever undo. They belong to him. They always have. And the season he brings into their lives is no reward earned through perfect faithfulness. It is the expression of his intention for them from the moment he imagined their lives into being. So his children lift their heads, wiping away the tears that belong to the season that passes. They step into the new beginning with same courage that carried them through every dark season that prepared them for it. The proof of his faithfulness is about to become one of the clearest parts of their story. The testimony they carry from this season will strengthen every person the Lord places along their path. The coming joy is not meant only for them. It is also for the lives that will be touched by their transformation. Truly, they are entering a season of clear and visible blessing where their life itself speaks of his goodness. Others will look at them and find hope for themselves. They will see what he did in their life and believe that he can do the same in theirs. This is part of the gift he entrusts to his precious child, not blessing only for themselves, but blessing that overflows into provision, encouragement, and living proof for those connected to their story. They carry it wisely. They carry it with humble gratitude, the generosity of those who received far more than they deserved, gladly, and therefore give freely without keeping score. Their lives stand as evidence that he is exactly who he says he is, that he fulfills what he promises, that no waiting season is too long, no pain too deep, and no situation too far gone for his redeeming hand to transform into something beautiful. The new season has arrived. The door stands open. The blessing flows. A divine miracle is already unfolding as this truth settles deep within their heart. They will not wait much longer before seeing the confirmation with their own eyes. Soon those around them will see it as well, and they will testify with a joy that runs far deeper than simple emotion. Their God has fulfilled his promise. Their God has surpassed all they imagined. Their God has proven faithful through every delay, each dark season, and every moment of doubt. Their life will never be the same again. They declare their amen as they receive this word. God's beloved, he speaks to them again about what has been changing in the unseen realm around them. He wants them to understand that these spiritual movements are not symbolic words describing something uncertain. They are real. The unseen realm is more real than what their eyes can see now. What happens there affects every detail of their daily life. When he declares a door has opened, it means access is granted to places, people, and opportunities that were once beyond their reach, not because they were unworthy, but because the right season had not arrived. That access was being guarded and preserved until their life was ready to receive it without being overwhelmed. They must consider what it means when he opens a door. It means the place beyond was prepared before they ever arrived. It means the opportunity was already arranged, the relationship already built, and the provision already being gathered. When believers walk through that open door, they discover that everything needed for what God called them to do has already been provided right there. They are not stepping into uncertainty. They are stepping into something already known in heaven and now being revealed in their lives. That is the promise of a door opened by his hand, not a hopeful step into the unknown, but a confident entrance into something fully prepared for them. And when he closes a door, trusting him is just as vital for his beloved children. He knows how painful closed doors have been. He knows the ache of reaching toward something with all their heart and expectation only to discover it would not open. He knows what it costs to keep trusting him during those dark moments, to resist believing that the closed door means there is something wrong with them, or that they have been rejected, that the blessing belongs to everyone else but not to them. The doors God closes are not rejection. They are protection and redirection. They steer believers away from places that would have diminished or wounded them, or drawn them away from the path he carefully prepared. And behind every door he shuts, he is already opening another one, a better one, a door that leads them exactly where they were always meant to go. He says to trust the doors that close just as much as the doors he opens. Both flow from his perfect love. He wants to speak to them about the lost people he is bringing into their lives, not those who doubted them or the ones who walked away, though he has promised to restore those connections and means every verd. He wants to highlight the new people, those who are not yet beside them but are already making their way toward them. They are being prepared in their own seasons. They are growing through their own struggles and waiting seasons. They are becoming exactly the kind of companions they will need for what he is guiding them into. These are people who will recognize what he placed inside them and celebrate it, instead of minimizing it. People who will make room for their growth, instead of expecting them to already have everything figured out. People whose gifts, purpose, and experiences will fit alongside theirs. The way matching pieces fit together, not because it is forced, but because he designed it that way in his kingdom. They have felt lonely in ways that are hard to explain, not just the loneliness of being physically alone, but the pain of feeling unseen while surrounded by people, the ache of being known by name, but never truly known at heart. That loneliness is real, and the Lord does not dismiss it. But that difficult season is finally ending for his beloved. The painful time of feeling misunderstood and completely unseen in their deepest parts is shifting to a time of deep connection, one that refreshes their spirit, strengthens their calling, and reminds them daily that they are truly known. The Lord also speaks to his precious child about their purpose, about the unique and irreplaceable role they were created to play, because one of the enemy's most persistent lies has been the suggestion that their unique calling does not even matter, that they lack the talent, education, visibility, or the polish needed to make a real difference. That lie bears the mark of the enemy because it attacks what the Lord placed deep inside them to benefit many. Their purpose is woven into the unique design of who they are, their story, their wounds, their compassion, their ability to notice what others overlook, their voice that reaches specific hearts, In a way, no other voice. 10. There are people who will only receive what they need if it comes through them, not through someone more famous, more refined, or more confident, but through them. The one who has walked through the darkness those people are facing. The one whose words carry the weight of someone who found light after hardship. This calling is not small, nor is it something they can continue to minimize or postpone. The assignment the Lord prepared for them is ready. The people who need what they carry are already moving toward them. Soft music swells, and the question now is whether they will show up fully as who they are instead of offering the smaller version of themselves that fear has convinced them to present. They are called to take up space, to occupy all the space He made for them, filling it with the unique expression of the public who He created them to be, letting their voice be heard in its full strength, sharing their gifts freely without the apology that has followed them for too long, living life with the full measure of the calling He placed on them, because there are places in this world waiting for the sound of their voice. And as they do, as they step fully into this season with expectation and faith, He will continue doing what He always does, walking beside them, going ahead of them, carrying what is too heavy for them to bear alone, turning obstacles into opportunities, making crooked paths straight and rough places smooth. He will continue doing what He has always done and what He will never stop doing, loving them, His precious child, with a love that is beneath their feet, before their eyes, and present in every good thing in between. This is His promise. This is His declaration over their life. Not uncertain, not conditional, not dependent on their performance or on whether their faith feels strong enough during difficult days. His promise rests on His nature, not theirs. His faithfulness is secured by who He is, not by how perfectly they hold themselves together. And He is faithful. He is true. He is the God who never fails to keep His promises, the God who never abandons a child, who keeps reaching for him even when His hand cannot be felt. He is the God who restores every loss, transforms all sorrow, and brings harvest from ground that seemed too barren to yield anything at all. He urges His beloved forward, to move ahead with heads lifted, their hands open, and hearts ready. They walk with the confidence of those who have heard the voice of the one who created them, the one who holds their future, the one whose words about them are the only words that ultimately define who they are. They are loved, they are chosen, they are prepared. They are stepping into the season He has preserved for them through every hard year that shaped them for this moment. And He is with them. He will always be with them. Not sometimes, not only when they earn it, not only when their faith reaches a certain level. Always. Every step, every breath, every morning, every evening, every moment of this beautiful, sacred, purposeful life He gave them and continues to give them. The season is here. The blessing is flowing. The miracle is unfolding. They go forward as His precious ones, watching Him move. He desires to return to the deep theme of transformation, noting how often that concept has been repeated so much that sometimes its true meaning is lost. When the Lord says transformation is coming into their life, He does not mean a minor adjustment or a surface change that leaves everything underneath untouched. He means change at the very root, a renewal that reaches all the way down into their deepest beliefs about who they are, who He is, and what is truly possible. The kind of transformation that makes them almost unrecognizable, not to themselves, but to the smaller version of themselves they have been living as for far too long. The change He is bringing starts deep within them. It begins in the place where their thoughts live, the place where old stories have been repeating for years, stories about their limits, their lack of worth, and the distance between where they are and where they hope to be. Those old stories are losing their power. Even now they are losing their hold as they listen to these words. Every truth he speaks enters their heart and pushes back what is false. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply arrives, and darkness moves away wherever the light reaches. That is what is taking place inside them. Right now, truth is moving forward. Falsehood is stepping back. And in the space left behind, something new is beginning to grow. Something rooted in the true person he created them to be. This inner change will begin to show itself in ways other people notice. Before they do, others will see something different in the Prada way they walk through life. A calm confidence that was not experienced there before. A stability that no longer depends on the approval of others. Others will notice they do not shrink back so easily when challenged. They do not fall apart when criticized. They do not build their identity from the opinions of those around them. Others will see that something deep has settled inside them, something steady, peaceful, and secure. Others may not know how to describe it, but they will. It is the deep understanding, not only in their minds but in their very being, that they are fully known completely, loved and forever accepted by the one who created all things and still chose to create them. From this beautiful transformation comes a freedom they have never fully known before. The freedom to be completely themselves without constantly worrying about how others see them. The freedom to bring their full self into every conversation, every space, and every relationship without hiding the parts of themselves they feared were just too much, too different, too vulnerable, or too strong. The Lord created every part of them with purpose. Nothing about them was added by mistake. Nothing should have been removed. Many of the things they have tried hardest to hide are often the very things that carry what He intended to give through them to others. Their depth, their sensitivity, their courage, their gentleness, their ability to laugh and grieve deeply, their willingness to sit with difficult truths instead of settling for easy answers. These are beautiful sacred gifts, reflections of His image in them, and the world loses something precious when they hide them. So He urges His children to show up fully as they are, letting the people in their lives know their true selves, not the carefully guarded version they created to protect themselves. The relationships meant to be in their lives will grow stronger because of that honesty. And those connections that cannot hold their true selves only reveal they were never meant to carry the weight of their future. They must never let anything keep them smaller than they truly are. They shouldn't believe the lie that the world wants a watered-down version of them more than it needs the authentic living person God created. As the Lord finishes speaking in this moment, He wants to leave His followers with a truth to carry with them as they walk steadily forward, a truth so simple and powerful that it keeps them steady when everything else feels uncertain. That truth is simple. He has not changed. Everything around them may change. Circumstances will change. People will come and go. Seasons will begin and end. Things that once felt solid may become unstable again. But He has not changed, and He never will. His love for them remains unchanged. His purpose for their lives has not gone stunt. His desire to bring them into wholeness, growth, and the life He prepared for them remains completely unchanged. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And because of that, everything He has spoken to them carries the strength of something truly eternal behind it. His words will not expire. His promises will not fade. This love will never be redirected anywhere else. They are His beloved. They have always been His beloved, and they will remain His beloved long after the struggles that feel so heavy right now have passed away, and their purpose has been fully understood. One day they will look back over their entire journey with clear vision and complete, perfect understanding. They will see every thread was held together, every detail known, every seeming contradiction belonging to a design so beautiful that their only response left will be a deep, grateful Amen rising from their spirit. He is leading them toward that day. He is carrying them toward it. Amen. And every step between now and then rests safely in His hands. He bids them go in peace. They go with full confidence in His words spoken. They go expecting signs of His goodness wherever they go, moving with open hands, a willing heart, and eyes filled with expectation, like someone who has heard the word of the Lord and chosen to believe it completely. They are deeply loved and fully known. They are held, and the best part of their story is still ahead. The tide has changed. The season has shifted. The best is coming, and it is arriving now. He has spoken it to His beloved, and He never takes back what He has declared. They walk forward in faith, resting in His peace and watching what He does. This channel runs on support only, for exclusive member only content. Scan the QR code or see the pinned comment. God blesses them.